Hey guys, so I wanted to add a little extra piece to my review of The Circle. Because after I recorded that review, I went online and I looked up some other people's reviews of the film. And, I don't want to do that thing that people do where they like something and other people don't like it as much or they dislike it. And people say, well, you just didn't understand it. Only a person who really understood the material would appreciate it. But all these normies watched it and they didn't understand it, so they came by and they hated on something that they didn't even understand how good it was. You don't want to be that kind of person. So, without doing that, I think there were some legitimate criticisms of the film, like it not being well edited. I watched Chris Stuckman's review of the film. He talked about that kind of stuff. Poor editing, poor acting, or poor accents, which is something I talked about. The accents I talked about, I didn't talk about the editing. But, so there are some legitimate criticisms like that. But also, I think a lot of the criticisms come down to the film's marketing, which I suspected. I had seen the trailer a while ago, but I hadn't seen it very recently. And I started to watch this video that was a reaction to the trailer, and then I clicked away because I'm like, this is not really what I want to watch. I want to watch a review of it. And then I was thinking, no, I need to watch someone react to the trailer because that'll show me not only the trailer again, but it'll show me what people's expectations were. And from what I can see, the film does seem to have been marketed as some kind of epic, some kind of epic technology drama that's going to be reaching all across the world and showing the entire Earth changing and that kind of thing. And it's that's not at all what the film was. It was a very quiet film. It was a word that was used to describe it by Chris Stuckman is it felt very independent, like an indie film. And I think I can see that. It felt very small, like an indie film. Not necessarily like a college project film, but something that you would find maybe on Amazon Prime as an original. Something that's not really marketed to the whole broad audience of moviegoers that usually go see these big epics. But the film was kind of marketed that way. But I would pop it in and say, okay, this is a nice small film to watch. Because a lot of these criticisms they were having about the film, it's I don't want to say that excellent acting and excellent editing and those things are not important. They definitely are. And I think the film would have been better if it would have tried a little harder on those things. But I think it's a scenario where the points that the film is trying to make up for those things. I really do. And I know sometimes people will say, well, sure, it doesn't do these things well, but the other things are so good that I don't even think it needs it. And I think that's a little disingenuous sometimes. But this is not really a story that I have any nostalgia for, or it's not something where I had a dog in that fight where I'm but I need this film to succeed. I read a sample from the book that was on that was on Audible for free, so I listened to that sample and I was oh, that was really interesting. But then I saw it was a whole book and I didn't want to pay for it at the time, so for years I just shelved it. And finally I just downloaded it. I had a credit, I downloaded it, I listened to it, I liked it. I had things I didn't like about it for sure, as I mentioned in my last review. But I liked the book, and then I saw the movie. And, I do like Emma Watson, but if you remember, one of the things I said in my review is that they should not have casted Emma Watson. So I don't really think there's a reason why I wouldn't see this objectively. Not that my own opinion is objective, because no one's opinion is objective. But, I'm just saying, I don't, there's not a reason where I think, where it's this is something that was nostalgic for me, or I had a reason why I wanted people to like this. I just genuinely, as a person who read the book and liked the philosophical ideas in it, and saw the film and thought that it captured those ideas pretty well, I just don't think that people are getting what the point of the film was. Because a major criticism I saw of the film was that the ending felt so undercutting of the main message. They say things like, okay, the whole film is talking about how transparency can ruin privacy and can be used for evil, but then at the end the main character decides that she wants everyone to be transparent. Doesn't that undercut the whole film? And I just kind of want to yell back at them, no, it doesn't. It reinforces the point of the film. Maybe I'm misunderstanding this, because I will say, if the ending of the film was supposed to actually be triumphant, like, yay, this is a great thing that the world is like this now, yeah, that would be a terrible film. That would be nonsensical. That would be horrible, right? But having read the book, again, I know you shouldn't have to read the book to get a read on the film. I'm always a person saying that, like, you shouldn't have to read a book to understand the film. That's just bad filmmaking, right? But I don't think the author, especially since the author helped write the script, I do not think the author would have signed off on something that had that message at the end. Like, yeah, this is great that the world is like this now. I don't think that was the point. I think the point was, like I said, this feels triumphant. The main character thinks this is great, but the irony is that it's not. And get this, guys, technology companies, a lot of times when they do things like this, it's not because they're evil. It's because they're so worried about success, and they're so worried about making these new products what's available, that they can't see the implications of what they're doing. And that's what the main character's problem. May thinks that this is such a great thing. She saw some tragedy happen, and rather than learning from it, and rather than saying, wow, maybe we should take a step back and not do this, and I know I'm kind of repeating myself here from the last interview, or from the last episode, but hear me out here. Rather than having her learn from that, she says, you know what, we just needed to add more technology. That was the problem. That's how these companies operate a lot of the time. They see these bad things happening, and they don't understand the fundamental problem. They think that the solution is more technology. And it's ironic, because Emma Watson's character thinks that like, I fixed it. Everything's great now. And you know as an audience member that it isn't. And that's why it feels so weird and unique at the end, because it makes people feel like they don't know what to feel about it, and I think that makes people uncomfortable. It's a different kind of film. It's not supposed to be a film that gives you, like, everything wrapped up, or has some kind of thing where, like, this is definitely bad, or this is definitely good, or, you know, I feel satisfied with that story. I know I said this last time, but seriously, it's a different kind of thing. It's more intellectual, not like intellectual like you don't understand, but I mean, like, it's supposed to be a thought exercise, you know? And I think people are panning the film, and I think everyone is missing this. And I don't want to have one of those reviews where I'm like, everyone is stupid. I'm not saying people, but it's just like, how are people missing this? How are people missing the point of that? Seriously. Like, I saw a reviewer on YouTube saying all the things that I just said, and then saying, and this is why the film is bad. Because it shouldn't be trying to give this kind of ambiguous message. It shouldn't be undercutting the message at the end. It should be, you know, the main character should basically, I'm extrapolating a little bit here, but he's saying, like, the main character should have some kind of thing where she bests the company at the end and realizes the error of her ways. And I'm like, okay, that might be more satisfying, but it's so much less interesting. That's not nearly as interesting as having a main character who goes through this journey and doesn't fucking learn anything. That is just such a good parallel, such a good analogy for how these companies operate. Because the rich and the people who are these innovators, a lot of times they see these things and they don't learn. And that's how these things continue to happen. That's how these technologies go so far. Because no one ever stops to think. It's like Ian Malcolm said, right? Before, basically talking about knowing that you could, but not stopping to think whether you should. Right? That's Jurassic Park. That's, Minority Report, right? It's that kind of mindset. It's repeating that kind of thing, but doing it in a very unique way that I don't think I've ever seen from a film before, where the ending is basically fake. The tone of the ending is basically not real. You know, it's completely pulling the carpet out from under you because it's saying, yeah, this is where you would be cheering for the main character, except you don't, because she became a villain. I'm so passionate about this. I didn't realize I had this passion about this story. I guess I'm fucking passionate about The Circle, I guess. But, like, I'm just, seriously, guys, I'm just so frustrated that so many people just completely missed this. And just, like, I don't know, man. It's like they just came through and just bombed, like, review bombed the movie. Like, guys, come on. Because it's frustrating, too, because it's like, we need to have more films like this that are hard to place how we're supposed to feel, you know? That's how life is a lot of the time. Like, you walk away from shit, like, and you're like, I don't know how to feel about that. I like movies where, like, just a real life example. You know how Lincoln felt at the end of the fucking Civil War, where he's like, this is supposed to be a moment where I'm going to be celebrating everything, but, like, I don't feel that way because we lost so many people during this war. And it was just a big fucking bullshit mess. And, yeah, we won, but god damn, I wish it wouldn't have happened. Like, that kind of thing, and I'm pretty sure that's real history. I don't know. If I got that wrong, I'm so sorry. But, like, that kind of thing is how life often is, right? And when it comes to technology and going forward, we don't know how things are going to turn out. Technology is undeniably good sometimes, but it is undeniably terrible for what it's doing to our self-esteem and our private lives, and that's just something that's captured in this story, I think. And to have people say stuff like, the ending, it's they're promoting the erasure of privacy. I'm like, really? Did you really watch this film and think that the filmmakers were at the end were saying that the erasure of privacy is a good thing? Absolutely, with no asterisks? No! No, that's not what they were saying at all. So anyway, and it's always a possibility that I'm wrong, and the filmmakers were like, yeah, well, you know, they got rid of the bad parts of privacy, or they got rid of the bad parts of accountability, and now everything's just good, and the world's just a better place now. Okay, if that was the point of the film, then I'm like, okay, yeah, you're right. Everything that you said is right. The film is terrible. That's a terrible way to undercut your own message. But I seriously don't fucking think that's what they were saying. I think that would be so short-sighted, and for the author to just sign off on that and be like, yep, that's the film that you can make. Woohoo, everything's great now. No more privacy. Drones everywhere. Yeah. Really? Really? Anyway. So yeah, the title of this video, am I misunderstanding The Circle? Am I misunderstanding it? I don't know. Man. The Circle. Last time talking about it, I guess. Oh man. Okay. I wrapped everything up now. I'm gonna move on to something else now. I'm gonna watch Percy Jackson. Y'all, beautiful bastards, have a good day. Talk to you later.